Hello?
Hi, it's Amanda from Brown, Miller & Cole. Are you ready for your media interview?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Hi, this is Roger from the Global Daily News. I have a few questions for you.
Okay, so it shouldn't be that bad to talk to the media.
In fact, if you're prepared, it could be a very good experience.
That's why we put together this quick video to give you the top 10 things you should know before taking a media interview.
Number 10, give the media strong information. The media is looking for trends, facts, market highlights, and examples of what you're talking about. Make your story interesting. The best way to do this is to think up examples and review your market reports prior to taking the call.
Yeah, well, the trend is moving towards big box, and everybody's looking for more currently.
Yeah, the Orange County office market in the third quarter was really strong, and it appears to be recovering at a pretty good pace, and we anticipate the fourth quarter to be just as good.
Number 9 is to give examples. Reporters love to hear about deals in your market that illustrate the point you're trying to make. And it's important to know that you can share those examples without giving all the nitty-gritty details. For instance, if you want to talk about a deal, but you don't want to share your client's name, that's totally fine. You could say something like, we were in a similar situation with a 45,000 square foot industrial property in Southern California.
Number 8, think about your audience. Sometimes you'll be talking to a media outlet where the people who read it and write it understand real estate. Examples of these publications are Globe Street, Real Estate Forum, and Commercial Property Executive. So when speaking to these reporters, it's okay to use real estate terms and expressions.
On the other hand, if you're interviewing with a daily newspaper or a business journal in your local market, many of those reporters and many of their readers do not have a background in real estate. So in those cases, you'll want to explain yourself more thoroughly to make sure they understand exactly what you're talking about. If you do choose to use industry terms, sometimes the reporter will understand them and they'll use them, but it may be that your next prospective tenant who's reading the article won't understand it. So, for example, instead of talking about cap rates, you might want to say something like, they believe they'll make quite a bit of profit on this.
Number 7, speak slowly. The reporter is more likely to get the right information and quote you properly if you speak slow enough for them to write it all down.
Number 6, if you want it in the story, say it during your interview. The reporters don't know all the details of your deal, and they don't understand the value of it, so they need you to tell them. You are the expert. They're looking to you to tell them what's happening in your market and why it's important. Also, if you finish an interview and you think of something later that you really wish you had said, feel free to give us a call or email us. We'll make sure that we get the information to the reporter. Number 5, if you don't want it in print, please don't say it. The reporter's going to try to get you to relax and feel comfortable, like you're chatting with a friend. And that's totally fine, but you have to remember you're talking to a reporter. The reporter's job is to tell everyone what you said, especially if it's off color or negative or confidential. So, our advice, if you have a secret, tell your wife, not a reporter. Now, if you do say something you wish you hadn't said, it's not enough to say, oh, but don't put that in, okay? It's kind of like asking the jury to strike the comment. They've already heard it. Now, if you say something and you really wish you hadn't, the best course of action is to just try not to draw attention to it. If you say, oh my gosh, I really wish I hadn't said that, then they know they have the most exciting news of the day.
Number 4, you don't have to answer every question. This is not an interrogation, it's an interview, so you are not required to respond to every question. It's okay to say, I don't know, and it's okay to say, I'm sorry, but I just can't answer that.
If the reporter asks you something that you don't know, it's totally fine to say, hey, I'm going to look that up and get back to you. It's better than giving them details on the phone that might be inaccurate. Now, here are a few good examples.
Unfortunately, I can't answer that as I'm under a confidentiality agreement with my client.
Thank you. Actually, because Voit's a privately held company, we're not allowed to release those details.
Number 3, it's your interview. Take control of it. Feel free to jot down the points that you want to make and make them. Politely take control of the interview and tell the reporter what you want in print. The only story they could run is the story that you give them.
The best way to do this is to change the question. If the reporter asks you something that's not one of your points, you can actually switch the question in your response. So for example, if the reporter says, was that the best price your client could get? You could say, that's a good question, but what I think you're asking is, did the deal meet their expectations? Then you go on to answer your own question. Number 2, accentuate the positive. Even in a tough market, there is always a silver lining. So when you're talking to a reporter, feel free to share the true, gritty details of the market. But also be sure to find those positive facts about what's happening now and what you believe will happen, and share those as well. Positive facts turn into positive stories, which then turn into positive attention from prospective and existing clients.
And the number one thing you should know before taking a media interview, tell them why Voit is different. There's a list of Voit's differentiators online, and we encourage you to review them before your next media interview.
By telling the reporter more about your company, you're actually helping them to understand why you are a standout in your industry. For example, if the reporter asks about Voit's size, you could say, well, we're small enough that we don't have silos, and what that means is that our clients get answers and results more quickly.
Or you could remind the reporter that at Voit, you think and act like surrogate owners because you are an owner. Thank you so much for taking the time to review these tips with us.
There's a handout that's available on the internet that you can download. We would encourage you to review it before your next interview so you can get even better results.